Earl! Without any further ado whatsoever, it is my great honor to welcome Jason Lee! Sidney Presley! And the one and only Ethan Suplex! Hello! Give it up for the cast of My Name Is Earl! Hello! So I was just talking backstage, and you guys haven't done one of these together in a little while.
We used to do panels all the time when we were doing the show. We did the Paleys. I say all the time. I think I'm like, we just did. But I haven't done a comedy.
We did one panel.
One time.
35 years ago. She was like, yeah, panels, we did all these things. I was like, oh, okay, this is normal. Let's just sit down, and now it's one panel. All right, I'm honored then. The sophomore panel for My Name Is Earl.
Yeah.
So, give it up. Now, this is a show I think is fascinating in that it's so multi-generational. This is a show that appeals to so many people all over the country, all over the world. And I watched it with my family every single week without fail, and we all had different laughs. Like, there were different moments where I'm like, that's gonna be for mom, that's for dad. And rewatching it, I find them all funny, which makes me feel like this is a reunion panel. But for you guys, what do you think it was that made it so approachable and so universal?
The heart.
Yeah.
What makes any show great is heart. Because if you don't care about the people that you're watching, you're not going to be endeared to come back and watch them again, right? But Greg Garcia and our writers were so incredible at get the scripts we got every week. It was like, I couldn't tell you what my favorite was. They were just brilliant. And every time, people say, can you guys can come back? Can you do it? And it's like, God knows, we would do it in a heartbeat. I think every single one of us would. The problem is with cancel culture and DC and everything, I don't know that we could. I mean, literally, we would love it because the thing that was great about the show is the thing that people don't understand would be great for now, which is pointing out where society makes mistakes and where they, for instance, stole a car from Dee Dee, the one-legged girl.
Garbage.
You never do that now, right? I mean, we should. But I think we should, because then at the end, he corrects all the wrongs they made and shows where we should be and how we should be treating people. And that's where the heart came in.
It's hard to make a show about flaws without looking at the flaws, and it's hard to look at flaws nowadays. So I hear you. It's an interesting crux.
God forbid somebody make a mistake now.
And then try to rectify it.
Yeah.
Now, on that very list, is there anything that you had as headcanon, each of you, as something that you're like, I love that storyline? I know it's been a bit, was there any like, man, I'd love to have blankety blank? Any great, yeah, anything you guys fought for as something Earl had done that he wanted to rectify?
The actual list that he had, there were so many, that was a prop, and so it wasn't always the same, I don't think. And so the first time I saw the list, I read it and just figured, okay, these are all the episodes that we're gonna do. And we didn't do any of them.
We did some of them. Some of them were actually on the prop list, like stole a car from a one-legged girl was on the prop list, but then there were other random things, arbitrary things, that weren't actually episodes, but some were on the list.
Yeah.
It always fascinated me, the opening credits and the journey we'd go on emotionally, and then where it would land in the first couple of minutes of like, what are we doing this week? Was there ever a schedule where you got the scripts and you're like, all right, let's see, let's dance, how's this gonna go?
Oh, our schedules were crazy. I don't think we just had to come in. I mean, our days were very long. You would have thought we were shooting Law and Order. Here's where we went wrong. We had such a great pilot that was shot in 5 days that they ended up going, oh, well, see, we needed 7 days. And that was the intention, right? But they were like, if you're going to make this and we're going to give you this money to do the show, then you've got 5 days. We're not doing any more than that.
Yeah, I think that was another angle too. What made it cool is that each week it kind of felt like we were making a movie.
Mhm.
You know, there was a lot, you know, we were shooting on film. There was a lot of steady cam and cranes and dollies and action sequences. We shot a lot of exteriors with a lot of activity, a lot going on. So I think that was a part of its appeal as well, is that the show had a kind of adventurous, spontaneous, energetic vibe to it, you know?
The first of its kind to be shot that way.
I mean, we shot 30 plus pages in 5 days every week, an episode every
That's
5
unheard
days.
of,
Yeah.
and so that was what I was getting at, is that we were supposed to get 7 days when we
I know,
started
yeah.
shooting the actual series, and they were like, no, you did such a great job with the pilot in 5 days, you're good. We were
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of work.
So you stayed low budget as the show's getting Emmys and all these accolades. Let's keep it
Super
low
low budget, yeah. We
no,
sh-
but you know what they spent money on that is still to this day my favorite of all time is the soundtrack. We
Yeah.
had the best soundtrack. They never skimped on that.
It was really good.
And the cameos. Like, this show was so incredible in its casting. I loved who was there.
Well, we had an incredible casting director, David White, who also won an Emmy for the casting of the show. But I don't think she had a problem when it came to that. Everybody was calling, the agents were calling them, trying to get them saying, we want to do the show.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Now, the show's also about relationships, and I love how close everyone legitimately felt. And seeing you guys here, it's really surreal because it's not Jason, it's Earl. Like, it's a connection amongst you. Was there a moment on set, especially in that episode being so fast, that you were like, oh, this is a bond, like we feel connected, this is unique to other things I've done?
This is the greatest time I've ever had.
Yeah, it was really incredible. I think we all kind of knew right out of the gate that it was special, and everybody, thank God, was cool and got along, you know. And we shot outside of Hollywood. We shot in like a shitty soundstage out in Van Nuys, if anybody knows the valley out there, like deep in the valley. And near the Van Nuys airport, and it wasn't even really a soundstage. You could hear the planes in the air. So we'd have to like hold for a second as the plane. It wasn't, but it added so much to the show because we were kind of way outside of the Hollywood thing, and it just fit. Everything fit. It felt like we were making our own weird little show outside of the system, kind of. And Greg Garcia, the creator of the show, so not Hollywood, so down to earth,
Best
so
boss
cool.
anybody's ever
The
had.
writers, the crew, everybody was like a big family shooting this weird show deep in the valley, kind of outside of it all. And that added a lot of, I think, flavor to the experience.
Yeah, most shows are shot at a studio and you'll be in the soundstage right next to another show, and you'll go and visit friends, and it's like you're
Like at Fox or Sony or somewhere like
Yeah,
that.
like
We
now
got-
the
we got
shooting mom
moved
directly
to
across from me
Egypt.
was-
The same thing in Egypt, that
Yeah.
was devoid of any feeling of Hollywood.
Yeah.
I love that you're describing it as like, okay, we had limited time, we were out in the middle of nowhere, we were making a movie a week. It sounds so
Oh, and
one of one.
right around the corner from our soundstage, what we call the soundstage, is where the trailer park was. There was an empty dirt lot. And so Greg was like, let's rent that. And we put a bunch of trailers on that dirt lot, and we had to get a security man. But the coolest thing, this is Greg Garcia. So he would show up, the people would, you know, Transpo, of course, they're there before anybody. They're at crack. Don't 3, 4 in the morning. And they would show up, and there would be homeless people sleeping in a lot of the trailers. And they went, Greg, there's homeless people sleeping in there. And he goes, well, it is pretty damn cold outside right now. It's winter. He's like, are they like tearing the places up or anything? They said, no. He's like, all right, well, they're fine as long as they're out by the time we get there. That's the kind of man he is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
In that same vein, the show's about karma and balance and being good. Have you found that in doing the show, you see the world a little more benevolently? Do you see things a little more optimistically?
I've always believed in karma. I think karma's a big deal to me. The other thing, like when I got the script, My Name Is Earl, I'm like, my granddaddy passed his name is Earl. I read it, and it was about karma, and I've got like 800 Buddhas in my house, and I love, and I was like, oh, this is good. Like, but yeah, I think that everybody that became a part, like was a part of the show, are all people who believe in it anyway, and want to do good, And I think, you know, you can tell that when the rest a couple, just as much as how much we all really genuinely love each other.
And if you follow any of you on socials, it's clear. Like, Ethan, your journey's been awesome, man. Like, it's been so cool to see. Like, legit. There's a thing around between like nerds and bros. I'm like, he gets it. Like, it's been really cool, dude. But did you find that the show helped inspire like a benevolence? Did you feel like that kinship in the character to you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I didn't feel that prior to the show, but it definitely reinforced it.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
It's cool to see a script that you feel like you're like partway already there when you get it. It's not as transformative.
No, 100%. And it was the only pilot script I ever laughed out loud while reading.
Yeah, the pilot read so perfectly. You know what I mean? It was like right on the page. And I personally, I also liked that it was, when we saw that it was becoming successful and that people were responding to it, it was also encouraging because it wasn't cynical humor.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't, we weren't trying to be ironic, there was no cynicism to it. Earl was genuinely sort of like a little bit of a man-child, wide-eyed and wanting to do well, and like that, there's an earnest quality to Earl. And the fact that it was tracking well was really encouraging because it wasn't like kind of mean-spirited, cynical humor. It was more sort of feel-good. We were trying to, like, in a funny, goofy way in this world, create something that hopefully people could connect to.
Yeah, to this day it gives me hope.
Yeah, and so it was really encouraging knowing that we were sort of doing something a little bit outside of the norm maybe in terms of comedy, and that it was tracking well was really encouraging.
And there's so much great comedy that comes from not just the core anchor you guys all bring, such beautiful work, but there's so many appearances of people that I think we discovered through the show. Because like you said, people fought to get on it, and then it's such a big show. This is my first discovery of Ben Foster, one of my favorite actors, Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh, great.
So many forces of nature.
Ben Foster?
So intense.
He was amazing on her.
Hello! When he's behind the fence, is it the fence or is the...
It's in prison.
And when he was doing that thing, do you remember?
He was really
Against
good.
you.
I think it was through offense in prison,
It
if
was
memory
a
serves.
offense to him. That scene should have won an Emmy.
Yeah, he was really good.
It was incredible.
And Giovanni Ribisi as Bad Ralph was absolutely hilarious. And Fish Taco, their band, like just so much awesomeness on that show, like just random fun. But yeah, we had a lot of great guest and recurring characters that were just really, really incredible to watch. Ben was definitely one of them. And of course, Burt Reynolds was like huge
Oh
for
my
us when they
God,
got
Burt
Burt Reynolds.
Wait.
And Norm Macdonald, you know.
Wait, you gotta tell the story about Burt Reynolds and the slap scene.
He slapped me quite a few times. He does, you know, I think he started as a stuntman, right? Before he was an actor, he was a stuntman.
Yeah.
So that means you're tough. And then you think everybody else is also very tough. And he had to slap me in the show, and the first time we were just, you know, before you even rehearse, you read through it with your pages.
Without the slap.
And you don't do anything. You know, if it says like you walk over there and you put your drink down, you're not doing any of that. You're just reading lines. He slapped me. And then he continued to slap me every single time we did it when the camera was not on either of us. And at a certain point, the creator, Greg Garcia, came up to me and he said, listen, you've been slapped 16 times. I'm going to give you $50 per slap. Here we go. And I went home with $3,000. At one point, the cameraman, he'd been slapping me with his right hand.
Yeah.
And the cameraman said, for this shot, could you slap him with your left hand? And he said, oh, I could send his head to Egypt. And I just leaned over and said, Burbank is fine. That was a town.
Where we were shooting.
I'm so much better for knowing that story.
It's a pretty awesome story.
Oh, you got a sack ball.
The entire, like everything in the town. What? And Norm Macdonald, the son. I mean, we have some incredible people on that show.
Did you make any friends on that show you still have to this day from any of those guest stars? It seemed like such a welcoming set considering how solid the core cast was. Everyone kind of came in and played yes and so well.
I'm sitting next to mine too.
Yeah! I'm telling you guys, I'm so honored to be here. It's great. To me, it always felt like this incredible yes and the show. Like when you go and see improv, it's always impressive that things feel so spontaneous, but there's always that inevitable, like, it's not going to last forever, it can't. And the show stayed so good and always felt so spontaneous every season, every arc. Is there any truth to the finale not being, obviously it didn't end in the way we wanted to? I heard legend of how the finale was actually supposed to go. Can you guys speak on where everything is supposed to end?
That we were supposed to come back.
Right. There's the outline written up. Do you guys know how it was supposed to hopefully go?
Yeah, we have an idea. We know how. Yeah.
Can we talk about it loud?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd like to. This is just selfishness.
so Earl continues crossing stuff off his list, and then one day somebody comes to Earl and they have to make up for something they did to him, and by the time they've done that, they take out a list, and Earl goes, "Oh, you have a list? Where'd you get the idea to have a list?" And that guy says, "Well, this other guy had it." And Earl goes and finds another guy who had a list, and another guy who had a list, and he makes a big circle, and it all leads back to him. And when he realizes that he began this sea of change with all these people trying to make up for the bad that they've done, he feels like he has gotten right with karma. Would have been a nice ending. The dad, if anybody's wondering who the dad was, it was Dave Chappelle.
I want this so bad.
We get to shoot that. Are you kidding?
This room has headcanon now, but man, I want that so
I gotta
bad.
tell you something. The way I found out that we weren't coming back, and we should have. There was a whole thing. The reason we didn't was because there was a guy. I won't say his name. He came in. He was hired to be president of NBC. He was hired and fired within 6 months. And while he was there, the Tasmanian Devil. He went in and he got rid of every show that wasn't owned and produced by NBC, and only, see, we were produced by 20th Century Fox for NBC Network. So our studio wasn't NBC, right? Our network was. But The Office, 30 Rock, all the things that they owned and produced, NBC for NBC, they kept. Well, if you talk to Ray Wilson or anybody else on The Office, they'll say if it wasn't for Earl, we would have been canceled. It's because of them that we got to stay on as long as we did. And I'm so grateful that he says that, because I'm a huge fan of The Office. But I'm walking on, we've just gone into hiatus, and I'm going on this like vacation. I'm so excited to Mexico with my friends, and I'm walking on the plane. I'm in the thing, right? Not on the plane yet. And Greg Garcia calls me and goes, "All right, so I just got called, they're not picking us," he just got right to it. He goes, "They're not picking us up, we're done." And I'm like, what? As I'm walking on the plane, it was the worst vacation I've ever had in my life. Because who would, like, it didn't, he was told the day that it was supposed to be our upfront in New York. He was called that morning and they just said it's not going. He was like, wait, what? We were supposed, like, we were almost guaranteed we were gonna go.
The show was huge.
Well, we were the lead-in audience that gave everybody else their audience of that Thursday night.
Yeah.
And they've done that successfully for 4 years. And every year we got extra orders. Instead of 22 episodes, we do 25, 28, every year for a reason.
If I win the lottery, I'm not making a list, I'm bringing the show back, I'm just saying. Anyone in this room, let's all make a pact. Anyone who wins the lottery, let's multiply the chances a little bit. Bring it back, I want more. All right, we have a little bit of time for some fan questions. I'm gonna ask one question for each of these folks, and while I do, let's please line up in those 2 mics, and I'll go as quick as I can, but I gotta know some things again, selfishly. Ethan, when you do something like this, which is so cathartic comedically, versus when you do some of your incredibly dark work like American History X, which do you find is more of an outlet as an actor? Do you get any sort of like more rest in your day-to-day doing dark, or like?
I'm probably more rest doing comedy, simply because I think that there's like it's almost like a melody you hear, and once you hear that melody, you just stick with it, so it doesn't require as much thought in the moment, if that makes sense.
That's beautiful. That makes total sense. I just saw the scooter, man. Yeah. And Jamie, when you do comedy, there's always this, whether it's Joe Dirt, this, Not Another Teen Movie, there's this great connection to you with the comedic element of the story. I love that you're so grounded in the comedy. Like the tone feels like it revolves around your character in a really unique way. Like you're the North Star of whatever the comedic element is. Is there anything that you've done that you felt the tone on set, you were like, oh, I gotta find this rhythm, and did you have any training to find that tone? It's amazing.
Well, so when we did it, we came in and everybody told me more. There wasn't a whole, I didn't, like, before I went into the audition, I was like, I'm just going to go out. I'm not, like, I'm going to put everybody that I ever met in a trailer park.
straight away, we knew straight away that she was Joy. No brainer.
I still remember when I came into the callback or whatever, and you were sitting on this side and Greg was sitting on this side, right?
I don't remember.
And I walk in and I'm looking at the two of you, and they go action, and it was, wait, I had to hit you over the head. It was like, bang, I'm hitting him over the head, and then I'm like, who's the whore? and I just immediately, and they're only right there.
Yeah.
And I just went for it.
Yeah, we were scared.
The two of you were like this.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
So when it came to the tone, I just went for it with that one because I didn't know really what the tone was going to be. But we kind of all just went for it and fell into place. And anytime, like you said 9 or 2 maybe or something, there was 119 cast members.
Yeah.
And my character was the one who was like this all the time and had to do all her, so I just had to find every valley girl in that. Like, that's easy when you've been in the valley. It wasn't like plastic surgery. I think for me, a lot of the time, the characters, for me, it's about, especially with Joy, it's the wardrobe. Like, I have to build her. Like, the wardrobe and the hair. Oh my God, the hair that Joy had. The afro puff. I mean, I had like 18, 19 wigs. And we do like 5 wig changes a damn day. So for me, building and finding like tone and just building character has more to do, for me, like I don't really find it until I figure out what they're going to look like.
I love that. Now, that tone also authenticity for me, Jason, like whether it's Earl or, for me, Brody is why I'm sitting here. Like, I literally, I hid my Spider-Man shirt under my Abercrombie, and then I saw Mallrats, and I was like, there are others. They speak as I do. And it was really cool to feel like someone else could speak like me and that it was cool. When you find authenticity in a character, how do you develop him leading up to it? Like Earl's really specific show doesn't work without Earl. Brody, Mallrats wasn't even like a Brody vehicle, and it kind of became one through the story being around his authenticity. What do you find is your route into these niche audiences?
To Jamie's point, some of it is wardrobe and look and sort of hair and facial hair and sort of the mustache, of course, was a huge part of it. And I knew I wanted to have a mustache. And
Which that was a fight with the network, by the way.
Yeah, but Greg too really backed it, and that became sort of Earl's thing. But like Ethan said, once, like when you're working every day on a TV show, there's a rhythm that sort of becomes just kind of second nature, and you do the hair up and you put the boots on, and you work just last night, the day before, and the day before, and you're sort of in that rhythm. It's much easier. But other things you have to find. Like for Brody, it was weeks and weeks of rehearsal before starting to shoot, and what Kevin and I did for that was finding the rhythms in which Brody speaks, and the inflections and stuff like that. And then also realizing that this is a guy that holds a lot of disdain for people, right? And then with the delivery being a certain way, you get that sort of Brody acidity, which we all love so much, because he's just a dick who's pissed off at everybody all the time, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways to build. But most of it comes, of course, from work and a lot of thinking about and relating to people you know in real life is another big angle.
I just
Yeah.
have this really great memory, really fast, and then I get to people. But so after the first season, Jason and I had to, we were at the Indies and we had to present an award. Jason's like sitting right here, and I turn around. They had put him next to Tom Selleck, and the two of them had and I was like,
Yeah, it's great.
oh my God. Part of your coming up with, because you came up with the mustache, part of it had to do with Tom Selleck.
Well, there was a
Yeah.
big argument where the network was like, there's no facial hair on TV, and Greg and Jason were like, I'm selling the entire cast of Deadwood, like there is facial hair on TV.
I love that mustache icons were paired. That seems so specific. Like, let's put them
They
there.
purposely did that.
All right, we're gonna start over here on the right.
Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you here in Orlando. Thank you. Just want to start off by just mentioning to Jason, really loved you in Almost Famous. And your voice in Beaver Dog singing that song, fantastic. Just had a question, also actually a question about potentially your show being on another type of media. They're talking about a show like Married with Children going to become an animated series, kind of like Family Guy. You know, not necessarily a traditional show, but something that may be another outlet. Is that something you'd be interested in seeing?
For Earl?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Advertising is really good.
Yeah. I actually pitched to Greg Garcia doing an animated series of Earl. And I even sent him samples of animation that I thought looked cool. And unfortunately, Greg was a little bit, understandably, kind of burned out because he had already gone to every single person and pitched an Earl completion, and for whatever reason, everybody turned him down. From Hulu to Netflix, everybody turned him down. And so Greg just kind of was a little disheartened and just, I think, kind of closed the door on Earl,
Because originally
sadly.
it took him 5 years just to get Earl picked up. So he suffered trying to get it picked up in the first place. But I have a confession to make. While we were shooting, Stan Lee called and asked if I would do a Joy spin-off animated for Comedy Central. And I said, of course. Somebody dropped the ball on my team, they're fired. And it didn't happen. And I then did a book launch for him for children. And he was there and he came up to me and he said, you know, I really wanted to do a spin-off on Comedy Central of Joy. And I was like, nobody ever told me. I was mortified. I mean, Stanley. So yeah, it would work. Because we know I'll be up for it.
Thank you, man. Again, we're all playing the lottery after this, so now let's have our options. Right here.
Hey guys, quick question for Jamie. What was your experience like on the show Mom?
What was my what?
Experience like on Mom?
Very different, because I went from working with all men to working with all women of a certain age. And I had my first kid, and we used it, the pregnancy, on Earl. And then I had twins, I had 40, while I was doing Now, instead of writing in my pregnancy, they wrote in that I had switched addictions and now I had an eating disorder and I ended up having to wear a fat suit and prosthetic fat face and neck for the entirety of my pregnancy. And I worked up until I had 10 days before the boys were born. I mean, I took them full term. I had a big ass baby twins. Leo was 6 pounds 3 ounces, and Lennon was 5.5 pounds 4 ounces. I mean, I was walking around with 12 pounds of baby and a fat suit in a hot thing. I mean, my experience being pregnant on Earl, he just wrote it in. It was incredible. I found out that juries were sympathetic to pregnant women when she was on trial. And so he comes up with the idea for me to be a surrogate for a girl that I now found out is my half-sister, because my dad cheated on my mom in high school with a black woman, so now I have a half. I mean, who, what, when, and where, I don't know, but that man is brilliant. I didn't have to wear a bathsuit. So there was just a lot. There's so many differences. I love being a part of Mom, and I have some really dear memories. And the best is that it went, 8 seasons, so I can't say it was bad. But my greatest, the greatest that I've ever been a part of, and the most fun I've ever had was this one.
So you guys talk about all your guest stars. I was a major fan of Charmed as well, so I was super excited when Alyssa Milano was ready to be cast for the 9 episodes. Did you have any experiences with her? Like how was she?
I would just say that she was super awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Loved the world and was really happy to be a part of it and contributed some just amazing energy. She loved it, and it was cool. Like, to have people come on that we were excited to have there that were also fans of the show, that was always really cool.
And she and I had moments that had nothing to do with the show, where she was sitting in the trailer and we were talking about this guy, David, who was one of the agents at our agency or whatever, and that's been her husband ever since. And they have, 3 kids now? Yeah, so, I just adore her, and I always have. Thank you.
Or that's it.
It's already looking good, man. I've watched your journey, Miss Presley. Awesome as always.
Thank you.
Coach Frank, my question's for you, man. I have so many questions for you, but from your screw the big companies, we can do our own thing, to your legendary blind part. But my real question is, how often do you get on 4 wheels and just forget about everything?
I skate regularly. Thank you for that.
Jason and I sat down during the
I
strike.
try to go out as much as I can, man.
Yeah, just go. We just go to the parking lots and cruise around. You can't expect too much of yourself when you're older, but just have fun. That's the main thing.
We sat down during the strike and I couldn't talk about any of this or anything of I couldn't say the word Brody, and we talked all about skateboarding and photography, and it was really cool because it's so rad. I didn't get to live too, man. It's so important. I love that. Over here,
Just wanted to say, hey, it's great to see everybody here appreciating what you gave us in that show. So it's wonderful to see you all up there today. And Ethan, my man, I just saw you in the movie Dog. What a transformation on your body. Keep it up, man. You look great.
Thank you. The mad scientist on the left.
Earl, did you sleep with Ralph's mom? No, but really, I just wanted to say.
I'm gonna answer that, but
Did you sleep with Ralph's mom?
I can't remember.
Anyways, I just want to let you know that your show, all 3 of you, it actually changed my entire family. It actually brought us closer together. I'll just be having a serious moment. My dad will look over at me did you sleep with Ralph's mom? And honestly, just whenever we feel bad, we're just no, let's do something good today. And why? It's what Earl would do. What would Earl do?
That's very cool.
Thank you guys so much.
Hello, everybody. So, after which might be my favorite joy line, the Jesus eating dinner with his buddies line aired on the show, I might have walked into my Catholic church and saw the pictures last up with the spat at the house. First Catholic saw it. So I was wondering, what's everybody's favorite joy line?
Oh, snap.
Oh wait, what was the one? It's about it was a beauty contest. You're don't you want another figurine? And I'm he wanted me to enter the beauty contest again, the prettiest pretty princess contest. Yeah. And I was I don't care because he had blown up my figurine when I won, when I won the contest. And I'm was it you? Every day I walk outside my front door, I win a contest. Every day I walk outside my front door, I win a beauty contest. Yeah. I brought some doozies.
All right, we got time for 2 more. Good sir.
Hello, thank you all for being here. Me and my brother, we used to watch My Name Is Earl all the time after Friday Night SmackDown growing up. So my question for all of you is, what do you think about the Taylor Swift song Karma?
I don't think I've ever heard it.
I don't know her song.
I think Taylor Swift is absolutely incredible, but I'm not a Swiftie, so I don't know all the songs.
Well, I'm gonna go out
I love that Taylor Swift made it even to this panel. Like she is saying all the
As she should.
for president.
It's gonna be our last question, but if you guys are in line and didn't get a question, come up to here. I'm gonna take a big group photo, and that's my apology reward to be near the front of the photo. So please come over here. And last question on the right.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm shaking. First, I want to say thank you so much for being a big part of my childhood. I absolutely adore the cast. I adore the characters. But I will say my mom didn't love that I would constantly say a big dummy to her as a joy. So thank you for that on behalf of her. Well, my question is for you, Jamie, because I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too.
So we know what Randy did. He had at one point had his own list. I was wondering, and we obviously know Earl had a list. Sorry, Jason. But what list item would Joy have?
I feel like Joy's list would have been stuff other people did to her.
Because I was just going to say, Joy had an excuse for everything she did wrong, and she truly believed that she had never done anything wrong. And she truly believed that she was the genius in the group. She just really believed. That's what made her smart, though, is that, like, everybody's a dummy. Hey, dummy, She really believed that she was a genius. That's why you believed it when she said, hey, dummy to people. Because she was committed to it because it was real in her brain. So I think absolutely on point with that.
That would have been a fun episode.
Yeah.
What a perfect last question. I love that idea. Another spin-off, play the lottery. We're gonna make more girl. Now I'm gonna take a group photo with everybody. So please,
Thank y'all for coming out.
Thank you so much.